I have with me David Weaver. He is the founder of Great Lakes Angels, an angels network for the Great Lakes area. In his prior life, he's a professional, was with many startups, and now he's trying to spread entrepreneurship in this Great Lakes region. David, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Before I ask you about your angel network, let me take you back to your professional history. You worked for J&J, you worked for Warner Lambert, you worked for startups.
Yes.
How was that experience that is now culminating and now you're starting the angel network? So let's talk a bit about your experience before.
Well, I started out on the sales side with some products for physicians. So I've been in the medical business for more than 30 years and taking products to market. Originally they're already developed and then helping them be sold into the hospital environment or surgery center environment, working with that. And then later when I was promoted from sales into a marketing position with J&J Company with some surgical products, I got P&L responsibility for the first time to look at what it is for costing of products and being competitively priced and developing them for the market. And one of the responsibilities we had was looking for new products to put in the marketplace that solved unique problems and were a better solution than currently out in the marketplace. And that really was a lot of fun for me because now it was taking something novel and introducing it into the marketplace and learning how to position it on a global sense, because it was a J&J company that wasn't just US, it was global. And I did that for a period of time and then moved into international sales and marketing, handling Latin America, training somebody for Europe and somebody for Asia. And I really enjoyed the medical community and finding ways for them to improve patient care and improve the efficiency of their practice and stuff like that.
What motivated you to come to startups after having been to big corporations, and as a professional you were progressing very well? So there has to be some kind of an impetus, an incentive that you see that from a professional organization you're now moving into startup and entrepreneurship.
Eventually from the Boston office where this headquarters was for J&J, I moved to San Jose to work for a turnaround of a division of Warner Lambert in the surgical product business, and that was in the early mid-80s. And Silicon Valley was just starting to get really cranking and getting a lot of publicity. I remember seeing Bill Gates in Money magazine say he's worth $350 million. I go, wow, that's a lot of money. Well, that's peanuts to Bill Gates now, but it really inspired me to move out of the large company into the entrepreneurial young startup company. So eventually I left that company after the turnaround, started consulting some of the VCs in the Bay Area, helping do some due diligence on medical companies. My background lended itself to help write some business plans for some startup companies and looking for a startup myself to get into. And eventually that's what brought me here to Michigan, was joining a startup here and helping them raise some money. We raised about $6 to $8 million for a privately held company at that time. We needed to do a venture round, and I went back to some folks I met in the Bay Area to do the venture round. They connected with the Boston office because it's a lot closer for funding, and they put a round in. Then we did an IPO as well. So I was there for all those dog and pony shows with that, and we took a product that was brand new in the marketplace, and now it's used around the world as one of the main cares for patients. And I really love that environment of startups. You don't do a startup unless you're an optimist and you believe it's got to be done and it can be done and you're going to do it type of thing. And that's an environment I still like. And when I raised the money for the local company here in Michigan, I found that there was a lot of investors that had a net worth here. In the Midwest, it's very conservative. They've made their money organically over 20, 30 years of growing a business. And we're on the coast, because I lived in Boston and the West Coast, a lot of the wealth that was investing in startups there, where people were flipping in and out of companies, understood the risk and were willing to make investments, and knowing that there was going to be a short fuse on it, they could roll their money into the next deal and stuff like that. So it was tougher to raise money here in the Midwest, and people were not used to investing in things unless it was like a given tool-die contract for somebody to put money into buying the equipment and stuff like that, and it was a assured deal. And with that, when I left the startup after it was public, I decided that there was a disconnect here in my own home state. There were investors that had net worth that were complaining, we don't see any good quality deals. Well, when you're an angel, you're anonymous. You're not with a shingle like the VCs are out saying, find us and send us deals. And so entrepreneurs are coming to me, David, you've been through this, can you consult to us? I'm going, yes, but I'd love to, but you can't pay me. You have no money. I can't take options to pay my bills with. And so sometimes I work, for small paying options to help the companies move along. But I said, somebody's got to get an angel group going in the state. And so eventually, one day I looked in the mirror and said, it's got to be me. No one else is stepping up in spite of my coaxing a lot of people to do it. And we started with the educational program to let the people know that had the net worth what it was to be an angel investor and start the group.
So what brought you to Michigan and to help entrepreneurs?
I got recruited to come back here and join a startup in my own home state, and I'd been away from my family in Michigan for a long period of time, and so it was an opportunity to move into a company with an equity position and be close to my family and my wife's family for a change since we've been married so for long, and do a startup, which is what I wanted to do anyway. I had to leave San Jose and come back to Michigan, but I knew where I was going, so it was worth it.
Because I think a place like Michigan, which is taking such a beating from everybody else because of the economic downturn, the employment is over 17%, but there's still hope and entrepreneurial activity happening, and that's where people like you come into play, which is Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And entrepreneurs approach because you are the first, if I may say so, barrier to entry, and that's what you help with them. How do you think the scenario here in Michigan and it was so different compared to Silicon Valley in terms of supporting entrepreneurs through angel investing?
Part of the difference here is the mentality that investors have not seen a lot of high-tech things that had a vision of taking 3 or 4 years to get a product ready to go to the market from the concept stage. They are used to brick and mortar things and metal bending and stuff like that in the past. So over time we've had people with successes that can be testimonials to show people that make success in either IT, computer-based, web-based products or life sciences that are going on. And entrepreneurs are now finding that angels are here they couldn't connect to in the past. That's really helping. And investors are starting to see that some of their friends are making money on these things with some exits, and they're sitting on the sidelines, so they'd like to get some of this. And right now the market is not an attractive place to put your money. So if you look at a company where you really understand the market and the risk, and you can help that company in some fashion, which is oftentimes the reason for investing. They know their customers, they know where they can raise more money. You would make that investment because the opportunity for 3-5x return or greater in a startup is a lot better you can do in the market right now. So you need to start looking at other ways to take that asset class and deploy it.
Let me put the connectivity into perspective. So if there are wealthy investors here who want to invest and they want to connect with you, and there are entrepreneurs who seek funding, how do these two groups connect with you?
Our meetings are open for investors only, so we publicly announce our meetings, and they're in a private location normally, so we always have our own members coming, and potential members that are accredited investors only are welcome to come to the meeting, attend 1 or 2 meetings, get a feel for what we are. If they like what we're doing, become a member, and there's a fee for that, and an expectation that they will be willing to part with at least $25,000 of play money at risk, a year to put into a company. Entrepreneurs can find us through the storefront on the web and through word of mouth. And the smart zones in the state all know about Great Lakes Angels. We're the first group formed here in the state, and a lot of the other groups in the state kind of modeled themselves after us by visiting us and tweaking it for their own environment. And activity's really catching on, and we want to work closely and have in the past with the TIE organization, who's very strong on mentoring these companies to help them, groom them, and get them to be strong, once they get some cash into them.
David, thank you. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.